Here we go. Recording.
Okay, fair warning. This meeting is being recorded, and I'd like to welcome everybody to Tuxedo Town Board's meeting. We call these special meetings, workshops for the town board. Today is Thursday, March 24th. It is 5:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Again, this meeting is uh, to help the town board move forward the Tuxedo Farms special permit renewal, whatever, update. And so that's the one and only topic for tonight's meeting. And as always, we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to get the flag and stand, and you don't necessarily have to repeat after me, but here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Just give me a second. All right, so let me give a little recap of where we're at. Just my camera here. So, we've been diligently holding these special meetings, mostly on Thursday evenings. The town board and our consultants and all associated have really been working hard to try to move this project forward, to respond to documents in a timely fashion. And anybody who's following this must realize this is an extremely complicated process, and the devil's in the details, and we're committed, all of us, to get it right. So we had been awaiting a major package from the team at Related. Brad is here with us. And Brad did literally give us a Dropbox with a lot of materials, most in depth, the tech memo, revised tech memo that was sent on 3/10. We were trying to get it so we could incorporate some of that stuff into our town board meeting on the 14th, but everybody needed a lot of time to absorb and digest and mull over the document. So, and we had a full town board meeting on the 14th anyway. So we skipped St. Patrick's Day Thursday, and here we are on the next 24th Thursday. So we all had about week and a half, 2 weeks to read through these documents. Subsequently, we got some later submissions from Brad on the 21st, the traffic-related tech memo, and then we got Bonnie's review, Bonnie Franson, our town planner, on the 22nd, and Sean Hoffman, our town engineer from H2M, today on the 24th. This is not meant to be critical. It's just the timeline of when we got these documents. And so I'm going to focus tonight's meeting on the tech memo that was received. And I'm going to start out principally with the town board's response to those memos, the tech memo, the 27-page memo entitled Technical Memorandum, Tuxedo Farms, March 9th, 2022. I believe this has been up on our town website for quite a while. I'll just have that confirmed. I see Brad is nodding his head. I was going to ask Marissa Dolbaum. I didn't personally look because obviously I had it. But I'm assuming it has been on our town website basically since the 10th. Marissa, can you confirm that?
Yes, it's on the website.
Okay. So, we've been diligently, I should say, Marissa especially has been diligently posting anything that we get. We put it up as soon as possible. So that's what we've been doing. And I see Bonnie's here. Hi, Bonnie. I didn't get a chance to check in with you earlier today, but again, what we're going to do here tonight, Bonnie, is first we're going to allow the town board members to cycle through the tech memo with our responses. I would imagine that would probably take 30, 45 minutes. I'm not really sure. and then we'll pause for a moment. So this is an opportunity for everyone to hear our impressions of the tech memo, the four of us that are here tonight. And we're really not looking for a dialogue right at this moment, but hopefully you'll take notes on what our comments are. And just so you know, I have my comments written down, and Michelle wrote her comments down, and I imagine Deirdre and Maria can also submit questions and talking points. So, you could take notes, but just rest assured that certainly mine and Michelle's are already written down, and we'll send those out. So town board members, any questions about what we're trying to do here tonight?
No, I understand the process. Sounds good.
I didn't get a chance to speak with Maria earlier, but Maria, do you have any questions before we begin? Maria, you're muted if you're talking. I'm sorry, I don't.
Sorry, no questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
I actually just got the I wasn't on the original distribution list, so I really literally got the documents yesterday. So
Oh, the Dropbox? You didn't get the Dropbox on March 10th?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, then you're at a real disadvantage.
No, but I have them all now. It's just that I just had to go through them quickly.
Well, and you're an amazing speed reader, because I worked on that for days, and I'm still digesting. Okay, so again, Bonnie did an amazing job, and her memo is chock full of a lot of the things that I think you're going to hear from us as well. But I really just wanted to start out with town board feedback. And
should we have somebody share the tech memo so we can follow along?
That would be excellent. I don't have it up.
Does anyone have it up?
I'm old school. I have paper copies in front of me.
You want somebody from the applicant side to put, we're looking to put Ashley's tech memo up? Is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
Exactly.
All right, Ashley, I can do that if you want to jump in.
No, if you want to share, that would be fine.
Okay.
I do have a brief presentation if that would be helpful at all. Otherwise, we can just go straight to the document.
Let me.
Well,
yeah, I'm in the wrong spot.
Tell me what you're thinking, Ashley.
I have a brief presentation. It's about 14 slides that just goes through high level about the tech memo, and it might help focus the comments or questions.
How long do you think that would take?
Like 10 minutes.
I'll defer to my town board members. You want to hear the presentation first, or should we go first?
Ashley, did you put that? Is that in response to some of the questions that have been raised over the last day?
It does touch on some of the items that were raised.
Then I'm gonna defer to us doing ours first, and then I think your presentation will be a nice highlight after that. How about that?
Well, yeah, that might be a good way to do it. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna go with my original plan. So I'm gonna wait till the tech memo is up. I don't see it yet.
Oh, so you're okay. I didn't realize I was still on the clock. Hold on.
You're on the clock.
All right. I thought Ashley was. Hold on. Give me another second. I found it.
Pressure's on. Pressure's on.
I know. Finding it's half the battle.
I have it. I have it. I can pull it up.
Okay, good. Thank you. Ashley saved the day.
I hear the Jeopardy theme in the background.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you could hear my brain burning in the background.
There we go. Tech memo. Okay, so for those of you at home, hopefully you could see what we're all looking at, and starts out with this section A, introduction, on page 1, and obviously the introduction just sets up what the project is all about. Talks about a maximum unit count that went from 1375 to 1609, a total bedroom count that went from 3324 to 3514. Talks about updates to a preliminary plan and design standards, introduces some different products, mentions something that probably was new to many of us, stacked townhomes, and what caught my eye also is about the diminished disturbance of the southern track, which went from 443 acres to approximately 380 acres, 63 acres less. So that's what I had on the introduction. Michelle, I see you had some ideas here as well. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, in this introduction, we talk about the missing middle again that has been described, in which, we want as a great mix of units at different price points. And so I guess I'm just wanting to know a little bit more about the missing middle, because to me, we had the cottage homes in the plan that were the smallest homes, the best entry price point. And now we don't have any of those. There were supposed to be 317 of these smallest homes. So now that there are no cottages for people to move on up to a single family home, I'm guessing that maybe the stacked townhomes, because of their price point, is what is taking the place of cottage homes as an entry level housing type unit. So that was one of my questions, which, obviously we're not looking for answers now, but if just jot it down, and I've sent it to you. And then the other thing is about the the soil that's been disturbed in the current plan. All that disturbed land, most of it was going to go to single family homes that would then plant lawns, landscaping, trees. So now we have a different type of disturbance. Even though there's less land being cleared, there's more impervious surfaces because of the type of buildings, the townhomes, the commons, the apartment buildings, all of that. So I don't really look at this reduction in disturbed acreage in the same way. I see it as, yes, there's less land being cleared, but the land is now going to be used in a different way than it was before. So there won't be the pervious surfaces and lawns and trees. So I think that the landscape plan now becomes even more important to see how we're going to be able to mitigate that different type of disturbance and the impervious surfaces. So, then I just question, this is saying in the first, the last paragraph of this section is that they're looking to see if there's any new significant adverse environmental impacts not previously analyzed. So that's my question. Because of the way the land now will be built upon, what's the environmental impact? So that's my comments on the first section.
Okay, let's pass it to Maria.
Maria, you're muted. Maria, you're
I
muted.
don't have further comments than those that were made already.
And Deirdre.
So, excuse me, my question regarding the missing middle point, which they made in the memo was about the attraction for the missing middle to have walkable communities and to have social, commercial and social areas designated for that community. I don't see here I don't understand basically how this is going to lay out so that the missing middle, the needs of the lifestyle of the defined missing middle are met. So to me, I know you have your retail space being 40,000 square feet. That seems low to me, and I don't really know if that's low, but it seems as though in the scale of all of the commercial community space, it seems as though it's low to what the needs are for the missing middle. So my question really is, how do we define what the missing middle needs are for lifestyle, and how is this community and how it's being built going to work towards the needs of that section of the market?
I'm sure that comes up again. Excellent. But obviously you're responding to that verbiage here about the missing middle in the introduction, and absolutely. All right. So let's move to section B, the seeker, New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Michelle, you want to start?
Okay, I guess I just made a comment. Where is it? They were kind of rehashing all the different amendments, and it said in 2017 there were additional minor amendments to the special permit. And I just think that the word minor is a little misleading, because we spent months and months. Now, all those amendments weren't finalized because it was back in Related's court at that time, and it wasn't finalized. So that's just a minor point, but to me, not so minor, because I remember all the architectural design guidelines that were developed and changed and rehashed over and over again. So, so that's that point. And then in table 1, it's just a question of who owns it and what should be counted in table 1 as project acreage. I don't know if you want me to go through that, but for instance, first Southern Track. Okay, so what this doesn't take into account is the properties, the portions of the Southern Track that were transferred to the village, transferred to the Tuxedo Club, and that's it for the Southern Track. The Northern Track, really, the only thing that's left that should probably be included in the project acreage is the 88 acres LIO parcel out on Long Meadow Road and Warwick Brook Road. Over 700 acres was transferred to the town. Parcels were sold to Michael Bruno, and the 40-acre piece was retained by Tuxedo Park Associates, but has since been sold for a 7-home subdivision. So that's not really in the project acreage. The Fox Hill Tract, same thing. Parcels were sold to Michael Bruno. Okay, that's it for table 1. So just, I think that needs to be updated, since it's in the notes, it's saying who owns the parcel. So you can update that. And then in the bottom footnote, it talks about the 3,000 square foot farm stand that's in Sloatsburg, and obviously would be subject to Village's Sloatsburg site plan approval. But I'm just thinking, why limit it to just that type of business when we already have just down the road from there, Sloatsburg Nursery, we have Annie L's, we have Valley Rock, we have Hickory Hollow, we have the Tuxedo's Farmers Market. So I don't know if it needs to limit that 3,000 square foot to a farm stand.
Okay, I'll just point out on page 3, continuing of part B, just talks about local approvals and what we need to continue to move this plan forward. I don't know if Maria and that's all I would have. My points were the same as Michelle's.
Yeah, I don't have the benefit of the history of the Northern Tracker, so I'm not educated enough to even comment on that. So I'm fine with Michelle's comment.
Have any further comments? Either.
So I'll move to section C on page 3. What I highlighted in my paper version is section C, description of the proposed action. Somewhere in the middle, it mentions, it lists, could include options like stacked townhomes and duplexes, triplexes, and quads. I don't see any triplexes and quads in Lennar's product line. So if there are those being considered, love to see them. If they're not, I guess that should be stricken. And certainly, I'm liking the notion of a compact, walkable community with access to a town center. As has been mentioned, I think the town board supports this idea of a missing middle, and we're just trying to get a better handle on how we can make that the best offer possible.
I do have a question. I'm sorry, Ken, are you done? If
I'll
you're
be done in just one second. Thank you, Maria, for your courtesy.
Sorry.
I really appreciate it. No, then section C goes to table 2 on page 4. It talks about townhomes and multifamily on the bottom part of that table. And these distinctions have been separated in earlier discussions. Townhomes are separate from multifamily. This part of the table should be separated, in my view. Multifamily is now a distinction of its own, and I think by linking it there together, it just further enhances the confusion that townhouses are not being considered multifamily. And so my recommendation would be to separate those to make it clearer. To my understanding, multifamily is now exclusively a related product. And if you looked at page 6, the commons includes multifamily apartment units, is what it says. And so that just further indicates to me that multifamily now exclusively means these apartments. And also on page 8, number 4, it talks about revising the definition of multifamily to exclude townhomes and split or stacked townhomes. So that to me just further underscores that my understanding that multifamily means these apartments. And on table 2 here, it does show 1 bedrooms, 285 of them, and 2 bedrooms, 146 apartments. These are rental tax units taxed on an income model. So to my understanding, these are the only rental units. And if there are other multifamily products, I don't know what they are. And if there are any condominiums, I would need clarification on that. And then also the only option for age-restricted buyers is 288 single-family homes, no townhomes or apartments. So my question would be, well, what drives that decision over? I'm done now, Maria. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay, no, it's related to your last point, because I think through this section, you talk a lot about the current market demand and so on. But and I get it that you guys don't have to share your market analysis or whatever, but it would be helpful to us to have a little bit more information on, and where you're basing this quote unquote market demand from, so that we have a better understanding of why you want to have these particular number of products and types of houses and so on. So, and this current market demand is kind of all around in this section of the memo. And that's it.
Michelle, I know you wrote quite a bit over there.
Yeah, right. I was, well, first I was looking at this table 2, and, we're looking at the increase in units at the bottom of that page that says it's the maximum unit count is now going from 1375 to 1609. And I think that there was a feeling or an understanding that the 1195, which had actually been approved, somehow didn't include all the senior housing or didn't include any senior housing. So I just kept looking at this table. I was like, no, it does. So the 1195 is the approved number. It includes the age restricted homes, a total of 197. And then the non-age restricted homes are 998. How we get to 1375 as what is now considered the base number is by adding the 180 additional homes that were in the local law that said they could add 180 for seniors, assisted living, and people who are in need of care. So it's not, I don't think that 180 should be included in the base number, because the 180 were not in any kind of like townhome or single family home. It was meant to be in a facility building, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what the law
Yep.
says.
Absolutely.
So I think when you're talking about the, how much it's only 200 more, it's not, it's really 414 more, or a 35% increase from what was approved. And the number 1195 housing units is the number that's used in all the studies and the increases in bedroom count and school children and all of that. So I'm not sure why we keep going back to 1375. I think that needs to be resolved. I think we really should be working from 1195. What else? I also was looking at the stacked townhomes that are 2 bedrooms only. And the ones that we had toured were a combination of a 2 and a 3 bedroom stacked townhome together. The 3 bedroom stacked townhomes were very interesting. They had master bathrooms, double sinks, and 2 more bedrooms on the 3rd floor with another bathroom, whereas the 2 bedroom stacked homes didn't have a master bath. So I think that I'd like to see what the floor plan is for those stacked homes that weren't what we saw, and how that fits together.
I know Mitch is chomping at the bit to answer that. I think actually, from what I remember of the stacked townhouses, and I'm going to make sure that this is something they respond to later. Otherwise, we'll violate our whole premise here that we're talking. But when I went to the stacked townhomes, there was within the one stack, there was one townhouse that had 2 bedrooms and the one had 3. So
Correct.
it was I don't know of one that had 2 and 2 or 3 and 3. So I thought it was all a 3 and 2 kind of a model in one unit.
Well, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. The ones that I saw and that you saw, in one vertical structure, you would have, from the front, you would have enter a 3 bedroom, and from the back, you'd enter the 2 bedroom. So those are what we saw. So that's why I'm curious, because the 3 bedrooms were more like a townhome, that because it had the master bath and all of that. So that's why I say that.
Okay.
And I'm sure that Mitch is ready to show us what it is going to look like. So now also looking at table 2, yeah, I added up the smaller village and cottage homes. The numbers of those were 76.5% of single-family homes. And I just feel like we're missing too many of that size home in the project. So, okay, so now I guess I also would like to know, how are village homes described now? Because in table 2, we have estate, we have manor, village, cottage, cottage alley, and carriage homes. Now we only are going to have estate, only 8 of those, and then the rest are village homes. So what do we mean by village homes now in comparison to what we have currently approved? Design guidelines are also mentioned in this section. And as I said before, they were reviewed in detail in 2017, especially the vinyl products. So how has that changed since 2017? How do the ones we reviewed in great detail compare to what's being proposed now? And then somewhere in this section, they also mentioned other uses for the school site. Oh yeah, that's when we go into page 8, when they're talking about the changes they would like to propose to the special permit. And the one thing that really concerns me is number 7, C, allow other uses for the school site as the school district and applicant may determine to meet the needs of the school district and development. And I think we can't wait to approve this project and then find out down the road what the school district and the applicant might want to do with that school site. We have to explore some options, have the school come back and the applicant come back to us during this process, so we could see how their other proposals will fit into what we're trying to accomplish, because whatever might be used there could, maybe not, but could impact water supply, sewer capacity, impact on traffic, anything else that could possibly be something we should be considering at this stage, not later down the road. I think that's it for me on that section. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. This one section on 8, they're talking about.
If you could hold off on that, I know these are all under letter E, and that's
No, they're under C on page
C.
8.
I know, but I was just before we go too far. I mean, page after page. Maybe we could stop
Section
after.
C is a lot of pages, so I
We
didn't know
could
if you
stop
wanted
at
me.
design standards, and then
Okay.
we'll pick it up with special permit if you had
Okay.
further questions about
Sure.
that. I'd like to
No, that's
pass
fine.
it off to Deirdre and or Michelle, Maria.
Okay, well, I too picked up on the "it could" comment in the tech memo with the different designs that we've never seen. So I think, can you address that? The other thing that concerned me was the product mix, and just understanding the product mix, because looking at what was and what has become, I just need to have a better understanding of how that fits with the missing middle model. It went from a significant amount of individual homes to non-restricted single homes of only 8% of the build. So basically 75% of the project is in townhomes or multifamily. So that may be right. I just don't, it seems a little heavy to me on the townhouse multifamily development side as opposed to what it was initially thought to be as mostly single family homes. So the senior portion is all single family homes, and that makes up about 18% of the total project. But it seems like it's very light on the single family homes for just non-restricted families. It just seems a little skewed to me. But again, that could be based on market research of what is the new missing middle and what are they looking for. So that
was one of my comments as well. You know, the non-restricted has 125 homes, which has been stated 107 4-bedroom village and 8 estates. And the age restricted has 288 homes, 34 3-bedrooms, 82 bedroom cottages, and 174 2-bedroom carriages. My question would just be, what drives the division, the percentage? It seems like that distribution between non-restricted and age-restricted could be adjusted. That would be one of my talking points.
Yeah. Well, that was my question, to be honest. Also, and again, I go back to, you know, if we're looking at the commercial, and which I've already brought up, how does that relate to the entire space, and what percentage of the project is being allocated towards commercial and community space as it relates to the amount of people that are going to be in that space? I would think that would be an important statistic, but that's just me. So that was my real take on this section.
So I would just add, echoing what's been stated, you know, that the only option for age-restricted buyers is 288 single-family homes, no townhomes or apartments. My question would be, what drives that? Because I think when, you know, you actually look at the number of single-family homes, 400, whatever it was, and, you know, it just seems like if it was shifted around a little bit, might work better, but that's a talking point. Maria? I don't know if she's muted.
You're muted.
Can't hear you, Maria.
Sorry, you guys. I know it's been a long day. No, that was my comment before that, you know, I wish that we could understand the market research that has, you know, gotten, you know, related to the point where this is the right mix of houses. I just don't understand why all of the single houses have to be for, you know, have to be within the age restricted category with no, you know, I mean, so, you know, basically my point was that I wish we understand what you guys know that we don't know in terms of what you think this is the best mix of products.
So then we're moving, again, still in the same section. I'm thinking we're kind of on page 7 at this point.
Yeah, that sounds good. One other point about table 4 that is interesting is that the population generation rate seems to be the same for non-age restricted and age restricted 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom homes. I think Bonnie brought that up as well.
So I guess moving towards these design standards on page 7. In the middle of it, it mentions the applicant proposes to update and replace the design standards with a set that matches the proposed building program. My question, just of course, we're looking for those to be presented, and I understand that they're coming in about a week or so. Looking forward to that. Michelle, I know you had comment about the design standards as well. Thank you. Anything additional?
Well, just no, it was really just you know, since we did look at the final products in such great detail and the pitches of the roofs and all of that, just pretty pretty much more just how the vinyl products that are proposed now compared to what we reviewed in such detail in 2017.
Sounds good.
But one other thing, and it comes up again right above design standards is table 5. You know, we have to talk about what's private and what's to the people who live in Tuxedo Farms, as far as here we have the private country community club versus what's open to all residents of Tuxedo and the world. And also that there's that whole discussion about the library that comes up again. And the meeting center that we were going to get currently because of the increase in population, that we would need a meeting room to hold 200 people. And so, you know, they address it in their notes to table 5, but you know, that's a whole nother discussion we haven't had. That's it for me on that before we get to page 8.
Yeah, I made a note of that as well on table 5. It does mention the library with this anticipated structure size in lieu of the land. Mentions replacing the land with a flexible building or ground floor space in a mixed-use building that would be used by the applicant and residents for at least 3 years, at which point the town would have the right to purchase the building or space at cost. My question was, doesn't that eliminate the value of the half acre of land? If you build the building and then they have to pay for it. So just a question.
And refit it to be a library.
Yeah, or a town space. It seems just needs further discussion, of course.
Yeah, it does need discussion. It's just brought up here, so I just mention it because we haven't really had any discussions on this.
And then, of course, what's the projected cost of the flexible use building? I think now we are at the design standards on page 7, as I said, just looking forward to seeing what they are. Any other comments about the design standards?
Not for
Well,
me.
I just want to have one that, since Jay is not here, he actually made a comment that kind of stayed in my mind a little bit. And that was the like, we understand that the, you know, vinyl products and the synthetic stones and stuff like that are different from before, but one of the issues that he brought up is that the color of our native stone to this area is a darker gray than a lot of what we saw in the models. And my question was, you know, is there a possibility of using those kinds of, you know,
I'm
and
going
I
to jump
get,
out
you
on a
know, I
limb,
mean,
and Mitch's head is about to explode, but he's going to say absolutely.
okay.
Having
All right.
built a house
That
with
was about it.
cultured stone, oh yeah, you pick from a plethora of choices, and I literally took natural stone out from backyard to match it, so I know that's absolutely the case.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know.
Special
That was it for
permit
me.
on page 8. There's a typo in the first line. It says the applicant proposes changes to the special permit to meet, reflect. I think you got to pick one of those. Let me see. Sorry, I got to find on my notes where I'm at. You know, then there are these 8 points here. I'll go to number 4, where it talks about revising the definition of multifamily to exclude townhouses and split. I think they mean stacked townhouses. Let's just make this consistent throughout the document. Let's point out that multifamily at this point, in my understanding, is only the 431 apartments in a rental complex that's going to be built by Related in the Commons. That's my understanding of what multifamily is at this point. Number 5 talks about revising the timing of the agreements with Tuxedo LDC. the details with the library, the arrangement with the Tuxedo Union Free School District. Obviously, any details with the library and the Tuxedo Union Free School District need to be directly negotiated with them. On number 7C, again, any proposed use of school designated site needs to be negotiated with Tuxedo Union Free School District, and I look forward to actually participating in those discussions to make sure that their voice is definitely heard, and I know those meetings have already begun, and then it mentions in the text below number 8 that Tuxedo LDC funding will remain. I would just point out, I'd also wanted to clarify that the loan fund should also be supported. Of course, the timing that was mentioned, yes, we could certainly negotiate that. And I'll pause there. I have a comment about D, but I just wanted to stop at special permit. And Michelle, I don't know if you commented on special permit yet.
Yeah, I guess, again, included in these 8 points is number 2, increase the maximum unit count from 1375 to 1609. And again, that 1375 really should, includes 180 that were not meant to be family homes of any type. They were meant to be assisted living for people who need care. So I really, I think that needs to be clarified. Yes, there was in the law that we'll discuss later. 1375 is the number you get to if you add 1195 and 180, but only 1195 were actually reviewed and approved. So that we have to work with that. I agree with removing the requirement to build 764 homes, but as we later on, we'll talk about the law and the proposed changes to that law. We could discuss it then. And again, it's 7C. Yes, the school and the applicant can negotiate changes for the use of the site, but I think we need to know what is contemplated now, not later down the road, because it is, I don't know, is it that segmentation as far as seeker goes? Let's look at it now.
Okay.
Or at least, I don't know how it should be done if we put parameters around what the potential uses could be.
I think we're up to letter D, unless
I know, Deirdre.
Yeah, I have
think
a
Deirdre had a comment.
couple of comments.
please go ahead.
So one of the questions I had on the special permit basically had to do with, let me see, where was I? Just looking at my notes. Item 5, which is the revitalization and timing of the Hamlet Revitalization Funding Program. So I wanted to understand a little bit more about what that involved, and also how that the revitalization of the hamlet, whether or not it was incorporated in some of the walking trails, and is it connected to Tuxedo Farms so that it becomes a part of the community. That was another question. And then on 8, my question there was update the design standards. I go back to a comment that Bonnie had made at the last meeting, which was really about flow. And if the town center is going to be in a certain style, how does that extend out into the various other neighborhoods so that there's a nice flow of community and not a disjointed, segmented community? So my concern with the special permit here on those questions is, does the community connect to the hamlet? How does the hamlet really become part of the overall project? And how does the project flow in terms of lifestyle, trails, and architecture? So that would be my question on this.
Any further comments on up to letter D?
Yeah, not here.
So letter D, the only thing, I really highlighted and says this tech memo anticipates development over a 10-year period commencing in 2022. And the phrase commencing in 2022, I just hope that really comes to fruition. So that's my little comment there. Let's get it going. Any other on letter D?
No, I agree with you.
Letter E. For me, letter E talks a lot about caps. My comment is if we're really clear on what's being built, then there should really be no reason for caps. Let's just decide on what we're building. And it also says no more than 1,609 residential. I'd like that to be an absolute statement that's a chiseled in stone one. And then it says this section closes with to provide housing opportunities for a wider variety of income levels and a diversity of household sizes. And I'll just say, I like that. That's me. That's me for letter E. Colleagues?
Yeah, I like that as well.
Well, the proposed new law is so wide open and so open-ended. I mean, it could no more than 1,609 residential dwelling units may be constructed. I mean, what if they came back and said, hey, you know what? We're going to do all multifamily rentals.
Well, that
I mean,
is exactly my point, is that if you tell us exactly what you're going to build, it's not that vague statement. We'd go back to a listing of what you're really going to build. And that is my point. So you're certainly echoing what I'm saying. I'm sorry to be, so you and I are in 100% agreement there. Just, again, if we decide what's going to be built, then we don't need that vague language.
We'll need something because the law has to be amended.
Okay. Yep.
So, we need to know.
Yeah, I think we're making the same point. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is the main, it is. I mean, we need maybe not either caps or minimums. I mean.
Yeah, we certainly wouldn't write a law that's that big. No, that one.
It has to have a cap on rental properties because we want to keep that mix. We're looking at the town-wide, what the mix is of rental to owner occupied. We want to kind of maintain that.
So along those lines, if I may, it does say somewhere right under the italics in the middle, it says by establishing a maximum number of units for residential use and would remove the restrictions. I absolutely would not go with the word remove. Update, yeah. Remove, no, you can't just remove the restrictions.
Right, well, I guess we're just saying that, no.
It's got to be more definitive what it is.
Right, I mean, it's got to be more like what is currently the law with some numbers that we can rely on. Okay. So we're all in agreement there, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
In principle, for sure. F, economic and fiscal analysis. Again, I on page 10, describes the shift from the 2015 plan. I'd just like to explore moving, and this has been said before, I think mostly by Deirdre, but all of us, I believe. I'd like to explore moving some of the age-restricted single-family homes to non-restricted. I even think that the number of single-family homes is actually, that doesn't trouble me as much as that they're all designated for age-restricted, a big chunk of them. So I'd like to just keep continuing exploring that shift.
I really agree with that. This is Maria. I totally agree with that. I don't see why all of those homes have to be age restricted.
So maybe some of the age restricted could be the townhomes, and give them a more of a mix, for the age restricted. But again, I'm not purporting to be a major developer. So we'll discuss that further. That's all I'm trying to say. And then table 6 about the fiscal impacts. Obviously, this is a table without any details. If that couldn't possibly be the whole analysis of the fiscal impacts, I'm sure there's more, but that to me just doesn't say enough. So I'm going to pause there. And anything else up to that point on F?
Well, I think we just, like you're saying, we just need the background. How did they get to these numbers? And, I think we all are in agreement that we need more detail on how this was arrived at.
So I'm going to try to move us to the next section that says projected municipal property tax revenues. Page 11. It does mention that all multifamily units were considered to be rental units. I'm anticipating that to be the apartments. And all townhomes, including stacked townhome, typo there, I guess it should be townhomes, and single family units were considered to be condominium ownership units. That I would absolutely want further clarity on the condominium ownership, especially when it's talking about the single family homes. Anything up through table 7, guys? Before we turn to page 12.
I had a comment. I'm not sure I have it in the right place. Talking about recreation facilities. Maybe I have this in the wrong section.
I'm thinking you might.
Okay, well, I'll make that point at the end if we can't figure out where it belongs.
Absolutely. Moving forward, we're on page 12. This table 8. What really bugs me about table 8 is, there's a blend of shaded and white. White seems to be on the right side all about 2022. Shaded seems to be about 2015. But then you have the 2 first columns, actually 3, one that lists unit type, the beds, and then the market value per unit. The third one, market value per unit, seems to be just a conglomeration, amalgamation, whatever the word would be, of 2022 and 2015. To me, that's just beyond confusing. And that needs to be clarified. So what I mean by that is, let me see if I actually have it in my notes. So when you look at the estate, 4 bedrooms, has a market value of $1,300,000. And first of all, in the plan of 2022, the homes that I heard described would probably be a hell of a lot more than 1.3 million. But use that same factor for the 2015, at times that by 48 to get the 62 million, and to get to the 22 plan, it was 8 times that number. So it just, and then when you get to Manor, there's so many zeros in the 2022. It just makes, I know this was meant to be comparing the 2 years, but it doesn't do it for me. And I'll pause there.
Well, maybe, I don't know if they were using 2015 numbers as a conservative, maybe thinking that that's a conservative way to look at it. I don't know. But then again, what I find, questionable is, again, the village homes. the 3 bedrooms start at $799. And I go back to my comment before about where's the missing middle in single family homes.
And if that really were a price point, I'd pay the extra $20,000 to get another bedroom.
No, that's true. But I mean, where's the
Yeah,
where's
no,
the $600,000
no, your
home?
point for me is,
$550,000.
yeah, as you go down to the cottage alley, yeah, they just, right. It's clear to me.
And
You're
you know
saying.
the biggest number of homes before were the cottages, which would have provided some housing type for a first time buyer, maybe.
Deirdre, Maria?
No,
Well, I sort of looked at this and I thought that it was not really flushed out in terms of what exactly are the homes and really what are the price points. It looked to me like it was a pro forma spreadsheet. So to be honest, I thought it needed a little more work in terms of what are the price points exactly and how do they work into this plan? Because I don't think, I understand it's relevant against 215 because you want to understand, what the values are based on what the plan was approved. But ultimately, we're looking at what is it going forward. So to me, it was a lot more complicated than it needs to be. So I think once we get more of a better understanding of what is the product, what are the product price points, exactly how many of each one are there, then we'll be able to put a spreadsheet together that makes more sense. That's where I came out on this, but maybe it's me.
And
Yeah, I agree.
also, we need the rental rates, right, for the multifamily. Right here, we have the value of.
Well, if that's based on the tax, if the rentals are based on, if the tax
Income.
is based on income, yeah.
Right.
Okay. I see on page 13, it talks about, tax revenues from other sources, licenses, permits, fines, and forfeitures. Again, I just need some breakdown. Licenses and permits don't generate a lot of money.
Right.
Fines, we do better there. For that, if that's referring to what our traffic court. Okay, so again, when I look at table 9, I think it just needs. If this is referring to analysis that's somewhere else, I'd want to see where that came from. Does anybody have anything else up to projected municipal costs and net fiscal impact up to that point?
Not me. Thanks.
No,
So let me see. I just put about page 13, the projected municipal costs just needs more detailed analysis. So I was thinking we're probably moving to.
I have one more thing about the costs. I agree with you, but would the fire district or the highway district need, or even the police, would they need more equipment that, because of the height of the buildings, the increased height of the buildings, especially for the fire equipment? And so I think maybe those service departments should be included in this or somehow interviewed.
Yeah, I picked that up a little bit later under table 17.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I was looking for more detail on that as well. So we kind of moves now to the Tuxedo Union Free School District projected revenues, costs, net fiscal impact. First of all, I just put in my notes, I look forward to the town board receiving comments from the Tuxedo Union Free School District Board and Superintendent. I did meet with Jeff White, and I've had a couple of very preliminary meetings, just trying to get a sense of where we're related and they're at with talking about this stuff. One thing I noticed in this section on table 13 and 14, which is pages 16 and 17, that both show increased enrollment for the schools. The 2010 study shows 265 students versus the updated shows 377. You know,
Sorry, where are you, Ken?
I'm on page 16 and 17 is tables 13 and 14. They're both talking about student generation rates. One, I believe, has been mentioned as the New Jersey study,
Oh, I see.
and
Right.
one is the earlier 2010 study. And again, both of them show an increased impact to providing more students. My comment just is something simple. Hopefully obviously we're hopeful for an increase that keeps Tuxedo Union Free School District a thriving resource for children. And I'll also point out children who live in Tuxedo. I know the school had been augmented with kids from Greenwood Lake, and I'm sure that was a viable remedy back in the day, but I'm hoping we come up with a solution that actually brings kids who live in Tuxedo. So I'm hoping that the 265 is at the very lowest threshold of what we would attract, and hoping that the 377 is more where we're actually going. But again, my point is we need kids that actually come from and live in Tuxedo. So that's my point. I'm going to stop there. Deirdre, Maria, you're an educator. I'm sure you're working in the Suffern School
Yeah,
District.
I mean,
I'm sure the number of students
yeah,
sticks out for you.
I thought that it seemed low with compared to the number of units. But I guess it's better to underestimate than overestimate, but it seemed like, I mean, I know for a fact that even the rental units in Silksburg brought into our district a lot of students, even though they were mostly 1 and 2 bedroom rentals. They still brought a lot of students to Sloatsburg Elementary School and to the district as a whole. So it just seemed, when I just saw the numbers, they just seemed really conservative in terms of how many kids. But again, I guess you're doing the estimate from the New Jersey study. So
And I know
I
they're
hope there's
dying to
more.
answer these questions, but too bad we have the microphone. No, we do want to hear your response, but bear with us. This is the method for today. We're an hour and 10 minutes into this. We're coming to an end pretty soon, though. Any other comments about the school stuff? Again, I mean, obviously, the school board and the superintendent really have to weigh in on this. So, looking forward to hearing from them.
Yeah, I think I would look forward to hearing what they think about these student generation rates.
And I would also want them to know that we wouldn't possibly make a decision on this without their input. If there's any fear about that, do not be fearful of that. We would not do that. So I think I would like to move to page 19 where we talk about the commons area build out fiscal effects. I think this is where I was suggesting to you, Michelle, that those comments about equipment and stuff come into
Oh.
play.
Okay.
So not shocking to me that this section opens up with a statement that says some of the preliminary road alignments and infrastructure has been initiated on the Tuxedo initiated on Tuxedo Farms project site in accordance with prior approvals. I underscored these preliminary roads and infrastructure are primarily in the vicinity of the commons area and would be the first areas to be built out when construction commences on the proposed project. Well, that shouldn't be earth shaking to anybody. Obviously, there's infrastructure in there, roads, cleared land. Of course, that's where the project's going to start. And that mentions a lot about the commons and the West Terrace. Okay. And so then it talks about municipal costs. And I think where you were going, Michelle, but certainly where I was going, the details of that are emergency services, which includes police, fire, ambulance, and certainly us on the town board know how expensive those are. Our ambulance contract goes up 4% a year, and refuse collection, an understanding that our highway department, we don't have a DPW. They also do the parks, town hall. If we have a town of double our size, guess what, guys? You're going to need a full-time supervisor, a building department, growth, the courts, the recreation department. Right now, we have one very part-time recreation coordinator. Obviously, impacts on the sewer. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, and obviously, table 16 just has a number. So I'm going to pause there. Deirdre, Maria, Michelle.
Well, table 16 is the cost to the school. So.
Right. I was looking at, sorry, the table 17.
Okay.
My comment next to that just says there's no detail.
Yeah.
And I gave the list of stuff that certainly isn't comprehensive, but it's the biggies.
I think they're looking at the net revenue for the areas that will be built on what's currently cleared and where there's current infrastructure. So just the commons area and the West Terrace.
Mm-hmm.
And my comment is, again, we have to really look at the costs, and well, both revenues and costs, but the 70,000 net revenue numbers precariously close to neutral.
Yeah, well, without detail, anybody who does a spreadsheet is going to do that. I mean, they're going to put down the numbers and then flush it out as the detail becomes more real.
Detailed.
I mean, so this is, to me, it was all pro forma. Nice, but can't really rely on it till you get the detail.
I think that was
I think that was your point, right? I mean,
yeah, the phrase of the day just, needs more detail.
Yeah.
Again, based on all the list I just gave. Cultural resources. It does mention several archaeological sites were identified. In speaking with Larry, he pointed out, I haven't read all of those documents from 2015 that detail all this stuff. I was curious as to the archaeological sites and where are they and what are they? I'm just curious. I know a lot of this process we're depending on reviews that were done in 2015 or earlier, and that still should be appropriate and accurate. Obviously, historical sites haven't changed since then, or archaeological sites. Does mention the on-site quarry, quartz quarry. Anything else about the cultural resources, that section?
Not for me.
I mean, on the next one, the visual quality, Deirdre, I think, rang out the loudest about this. Yeah, I mean, you know, the commons is going to be the center of the whole community. I think Deirdre articulated it very well when she was talking about how this also connects to the hamlet, the walkability and all that. That would be a great thing to make happen. And it talks about making sure that the architectural features are visually consistent with other buildings and structures. You know, the commons area was been mentioned, a modern Tudor style design. I personally was very excited, or whatever the word might be, with the conceptual drawings that were shared recently by Related. I think those were capturing a lot of what I think is the 2015 design for the commons. And of course, very eager to see the conceptual move to more actual. And I would want Greg, who obviously is listening to this, and the team to understand, if you were presenting that conceptual as a nod that you're heading in the right direction, I personally would say, yep. Let my colleagues say what they want to say about that.
No, I agree with that. I thought that was very much what we know, what we expected it to look like. The modern Tudor was, was great. Yeah.
So of course we're looking for the design standards that go along with that. You know, it's pretty obvious to me that Lennar's design standards, well, we went and saw their products. I mean, we haven't beaten around the bush. We want to see some of it tweaked, especially to make sure that the transition from the commons to what I'll call the Lennar products makes sense visually. And I'm sure we've been heard on that. So I'm hoping the positive message that's being heard here is, yeah, we were very intrigued by the conceptual drawings for the commons, and we want to make it happen.
Yeah, that one paragraph that says they're planning to update the design guidelines to include street standards and landscape guidelines, lighting and
Yep.
streetscape requirements. That's all. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and that is very important.
I think
Given
that
the
gets to what you were saying earlier about, you know,
Yeah.
the impervious surfaces. You know, I did somewhere I saw about what do you call them? Rain gardens. Is that what it's
Sure.
called?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
bioswales, rain gardens, bioretention. That's actually in the hydrology section. So yeah,
And also, I think Jay mentioned dark sky compliant lighting.
oh yeah, big
Yes,
one for me. Very big for me. Yeah,
especially as it's more concentrated, more development. That's important.
absolutely. I moved here to see the stars, not to have them blocked out. I'm sure we're all in agreement on that, and it's articulated here, absolutely, and just got to see the plan that makes it all happen.
Yeah, I mean, the setbacks are important. If you have the setbacks, the sidewalks, is there room for trees along the streets? That's very important.
Absolutely. I do remember even from the conceptual presentation, that was talking about what I thought was underground parking and I thought that would be nice. Anything that helps keep the impervious minimized. Can we move to geology, soils, and topography, page 21?
Sure.
What I underlined there again was this notion of reducing in the southern tract the limits of disturbance. And Michelle, obviously you had questions about, okay, what does that do to the overall project? I mean, it might reduce the number, but we want to know how does it affect the commons, and And I did put notes here about the slope and cut and fill. I'm sure Sean Hoffman has in his memo, which I have not read yet, comments about that. I'm going to pause there and let my colleagues. Anything else you wanted to add to the geology letter I?
Well, I do think that the grades, 33%, I know Sean said that it seemed that the current special permit does have some leeway there, but I'm not sure how much, maybe we need to define the leeway in the cuts, because obviously the topography is challenging, especially when you're trying to put, larger connected buildings, is it all going to be, what I'd like to see is, are the buildings going to conform to the topography, or is everything just going to be cut and filled so it's one flat area? Yeah, it's that to me, we have an opportunity to build, as so much of Tuxedo is built, within, conforming and working with the topology. So I would hope to see that, but I don't know, there's got to be a way to show it 3D, correct? I'd like to see how that will work.
Hopefully we can get a 3D map.
Yeah.
Everything is worked out to take a look at visually how the whole community will work out.
Yeah, I mean, when you go down to Annie L's and the apartments there, I don't know how high those retaining walls are, 30, 40 feet, maybe more. I would really be disappointed if that's the way it's going to look. Or, are they just going to take the beautiful undulating topography and steep topography and just fill it in?
Well, that's why we're voicing our concerns.
So I guess we could ask, what is the anticipated highest retaining wall or the highest cut? I don't know how you ask to.
I think we, it's also
I think we need
walking the site. Let's get a real sense of
and a visuals
Yeah.
of what it's going to
where
look
are we
like.
talking about and how much disturbance. But I'd also say, that's something as you're trying to build these buildings, of course, you got to give them enough leeway to get the job done, but with a balance of all the concerns that are being voiced here. Because there's always something in between to make it work. Natural resources. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I know that Sean's memo does address a lot of these questions as well.
And he's probably wondering, why aren't we letting him talk right now? And I'm going to say, because, this was a chance for the town board to show that we did do our homework since the 10th, and we did read these documents, and these are our comments, and probably many of them will be repeated by Bonnie and Sean, but we wanted you to hear what we thought first as well. Natural resources. I mean, a lot of this, I remember a lot of these studies when they were proposing the casino, and obviously there are species of concern: the Indiana bat, the northern long-eared bat, the copperheads, the timber rattlers, a variety of salamanders that need to be considered, and I would imagine a lot of the stuff that has been submitted and studied is still what it is. So, but any further disturbances would have to be accounted for. And I know this is a very important section to all of us. I'm not minimizing it in any way. Again, I moved here for this, for the natural resources. Been hiking here since I was 15, so you could do the math. It's more than a couple of years. Hydrology and stormwater management, all extremely important, and this is what we have engineers for, to make sure we're disturbing as little as possible and mitigating as much as needed. So me personally, I wasn't going to comment a lot about the engineering side of this, because we have full reports on traffic and things like that, and these are all individual, especially the water and hydrology. These aren't covered in this project just by this memo. This is just the most minimal summary of those reports.
I'd like to add something on the natural resources.
Please.
When the soil is disturbed so much by machinery and the added fill that's brought in and all, obviously invasive species move right in, and you could see from the highway the mugwort, if that is just taken over that whole area, and who knows what other invasive species have taken over the disturbed land. There, I don't know if it'll be included in the landscape plan, but there's very, very specific ways that invasives need to be removed to be environmentally friendly, and also not to cause greater growth. For instance, if you just mowed down the mugwort that you see all along Route 17, it'll just get stronger and healthier. So we have to have a plan now for getting rid of all the invasive species on the property. We have plenty of experts in our town who could look at the land and identify all the invasive species and come up with a plan to mitigate, to get rid of it and replace it with native species.
Well, I want to thank you for mentioning that. Absolutely. I maintained the trail in front of the Sterling Lake Loop Trail in front of the Sterling Forest Visitor Center. And oh my God, the invasive species, exactly what you say. Sometimes the more you cut, the worse it gets. And yeah, that's a major problem. I see these vines choking off so many of the trees now, and it is a catastrophe. And so, yeah, that definitely needs to be mentioned and be part of the plan. Again, I'm going to say, from my point of view, K, L, M, moving forward, especially on the traffic, we are in receipt of a whole section on traffic report that we all need to read and follow up. There's been back and forth between Bonnie's team and the related group on that, which I haven't read yet. Again, when I started this conversation, I pointed out that we've received a lot of documents since the 10th. Again, Brad's later submissions of the traffic-related tech memo was from March 21st. Bonnie's review is March 22nd. Sean's memo is March 24th. So, again, I wanted to use this session. We're now an hour and 31 minutes into it to not only show how much work this town board does trying to stay on top of these documents, but that we got a chance to address this, and there's a ton of work that still needs to be done, and we understand that. We're willing to do all of it.
May I just add to, if we're not going to go through the engineering,
You can. I didn't say we're not going to. I just let me be clear. I just didn't have anything else to add. And if you want to, please go ahead.
Well, I definitely defer to Bonnie and Sean on this, but just to reiterate my concern about other potential uses for the school site that might be considered in the future, we really do need to know that now because of the engineering and the water supply and the sewer capacity, just to reiterate that.
Oh yeah, no, that would change the numbers dramatically. So yeah, I I absolutely agree with that.
If my last point that I was trying to figure out where it belonged, I think it was back where there was discussion of trails and, the special permit has a recreation fee of $1,500 dollars per housing unit. And, so I didn't see any discussion of that. I don't know if they build the fields on Tuxedo Farm site. Does that reduce how much has to be paid to the town for recreation? I know the town obviously bought Quarry Field for $2 million. And the purpose of that was to create recreation fields for the increased population. So I think the anticipation back in 2014 is that the $1,500 per unit was going to be used to build the fields. So we have to remember that and see where that all fits in.
So can we close our comment for now? Of course, there's going to be more to come. So what I think our task is from the town board is to, now we got to start reading the memos that came subsequent to the Dropbox. And I'm sure Brad has added Maria to make sure you never miss again, Maria. I've been trying to
Yeah.
watch to see that you weren't missing anything. I had no idea you didn't get the whole Dropbox thing because
Yeah, I got it last time, but I didn't get it this time.
right, but that you only missed one day though. I noticed that right away, and Brad sent it to you and certainly apologized. So if that's the only thing you missed, you didn't miss much because it was only a day, and as I tried to set up this meeting, I decided we're not going to respond to memos that we've only received since March 21st because we're trying to play catch up with what was already submitted on the 10th. And since Jay wasn't here today, I think we used this time pretty wisely, to be honest with you. All so I'm going to go back to the screen where we are looking at all because I haven't been looking at you guys. Sorry to say. Let me go back. I guess we could stop sharing. Where is this screen now? I know you're still there.
I don't see any screen share happening.
Okay, I've lost you guys altogether, so I gotta somehow come back to the. Where's my WebEx? Too many screens open. Anyway, even without seeing you, is Bonnie still there?
Yes, Bonnie's here.
Okay.
Sean had to leave.
Right.
Larry's here from the town side and John Banyo's here from the planning board. That's it from board members. Oh, Rob Dolbaum's here.
Oh, there, I found you back. All right, let me turn my camera on so you can know that I'm still here. I know you missed me.
Yeah, and there are members from the public as well.
So, Bonnie, I know you did an amazing amount of work, and truth be told, I haven't read all your memo yet. I'm still digesting the 27 pages, and truth be told, there's a lot of other stuff going on in this town that I'm responsible to keep running. So it's not like I've been having my feet up on the desk. I practically live here now. And so what I'm saying is thank you for your working. I hope you weren't turned off by hearing our comments before we acknowledged yours. So I feel like I wanted everybody to hear what the town board ideas were to date. And so it seems like part of the charge is that you're working with Larry and Sean, and of course our applicants on the other side, and I mean that as working together, that we are communicating to troubleshoot and come to solutions as quickly as possible. I've heard that echoed of how hard we're working to try to move this forward, and this is just an extension of that. So I see the next step as all town board members getting caught up on these additional memos and giving feedback so that Larry, Bonnie, Sean, all could work with the Related Lennar team in between meetings to really take these comments and resolve. Is that what you and Larry see, Bonnie, as well?
Well, I think that's an approach. I'll defer to Larry in terms of what he thinks procedurally should happen. I did want to remind you, Mr. Supervisor, that Ashley had a presentation.
Okay.
And I think, Ashley, your presentation was perhaps going to respond to some of the comments, or maybe, or was it just a presentation of the tech memo?
It was just an overview of the tech memo. It was going to hit on a couple points that were raised in some of the questions, but
we
at
have
this
time
point,
for
I'm not
that. I'm not looking to run out the door, so I'm absolutely. And I see Brad wants to say something. You're muted though. Unmute yourself.
So thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So good evening, everybody. So my suggestion would be, and I appreciate the comment that was just made about working together between meetings to try to resolve these comments. I think while Ashley put together a top-notch presentation, we might all be better suited to be able to go back, digest the comments we heard tonight, work together with your consultants again between meetings and try to resolve them rather than go through the couple of slides that we had prepared for this evening. So that would be my recommendation. Ashley, are you good with that?
yes, I'm fine with that.
Mr. Supervisor, I do have a couple follow-up comments that didn't make their way into the memo that I thought about subsequent to preparing the memo, and based on kind of being triggered by some of the comments that I just would like to make for the record. And Ashley, perhaps you and Related and everyone can kind of follow up on these items.
I have no objection. Please go ahead.
Great.
Thank you. So one is just a clarification for everybody's benefit. When we had looked at the concept plan, there was a label, a reference to a parking structure. And typically parking structure, when you hear that word, you think garage. But Related did confirm that it's going to be a parking lot. So they will change the concept plan to clarify that, but there isn't any parking garage or structure happening. Now, in terms of traffic, we did get the traffic back, but there was a project that Related had gone into Sloatsburg for, and this was back around 2015, 2016. Related had submitted an application for a 64,000 square foot shopping center on the Sloatsburg portion of the site. And I wanted to find out from the applicant what the status was, if there's still an approval hanging out there, if there ever was an approval made, because I think that would have to be factored into any traffic analysis. Or was that simply not approved, or was it dropped? So I think we need to get a sense of what happened to the shopping center that was proposed. Again, it was about 5 years ago now.
It's no longer the plan.
No longer the plan?
Yeah. I mean,
was it ever approved?
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, that was an idea, and
Okay.
it didn't work for economic purposes. So I think it was probably just dropped. I don't know the approval process, but that is no longer the plan.
Okay. And the reason is that the seeker analysis had looked at a very small, limited commercial amount of development in Sloatsburg, and the rest was to remain open space. So I just wanted to make sure sort of what the thinking was right there, because again, it affects traffic, it affects other aspects of the analysis. So it's just good to know whether it even got an approval. If it didn't get an approval, then there's nothing going on. But if it got an approval, I think we should know that. I recall also, so the school district, the agreement included the dedication of 40 acres for a school site, but it also included 2 payments that were around, I think, $1,250,000. And they would be timed based on number of building permits issued, I believed. I seem to recall that Andrew Dance had indicated that some amount of money had gone to the school district. And I don't know if that was a donation, if it was related to that money or not, but I just wanted to follow up on it. Because then it relates to, has any payment been made to the school district related to that agreement? So I don't know if anyone recalls or knows anything about that, but I definitely remember something about Tuxedo Reserve giving some monies to the school district.
I don't have any information on that, but I'll dig into it.
Okay.
I don't either, but just for the purpose of the fiscal analysis and the tech memo, it did not take credit for any land gifts or other fiscal donations. So it's purely looking at the tax revenue that would be generated by the project. So from that perspective, it's a conservative analysis.
Right, right. The purchase, I know Michelle had brought up Tiki Field and the purchase of it. And a good portion of that site, I don't know that it can accommodate very much. It has the ball field right now, but then you have Warwick Brook coming out, and then the other side is where the old mine was, Santa Gravel Mine, I believe. And that area, there was discussion about putting a town clubhouse there, but there's some terrain, we'd have to do some grading out, but, other than providing maybe one other ball field, I don't know that there's much that can be accommodated. I don't know that it was ever evaluated, so it's kind of an open question. But that related to one of my comments in the memo where, there's all this development that was going to happen in phase 3, and now it's really limited to 8 estate homes. And the reality in the town is that there isn't a lot of land to build fields, ball fields, etc. And so the applicant in the tech memo is getting credit for reducing the amount of disturbance on the property, but we may want to consider just saying, but that could be used for things like ball fields, because in as much as the town could receive the recreational fees from the development, we have to ask, well, if it did need ball fields or any kind of recreational amenities, where would it go? Because you can collect the fee, but then you need to put it somewhere. So that was a comment, and it just triggered by what Michelle had talked about with Tiki Field. But Tiki really was the purchase of that property after the development that was proposed there didn't happen, because the entirety of among many issues, that whole ball field is in a floodplain, and the proposed development was going to happen in a floodplain. So
just to clarify, it's Quarry Field, not Tiki Field.
Oh, sorry, Quarry. I keep saying Tiki.
No worries.
My brain is thinking Tiki. So those were the couple comments. I didn't know if the town board, if you wanted to go through the high points of the memo, or if you wanted, or how you wanted to proceed at this point, or if you wanted to absorb the memo.
I think Larry's. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Larry.
Bonnie, Larry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sure.
Everybody hear me? Good.
Yes.
What I think is we thought would be best at this point would now that we have a pretty comprehensive set of overall comments from everybody, with the possible exception of Jay, and Jay will weigh in and has actually sent us some comments anyway already. So in order to move this along, we're going to have several consultant meetings to try and address all of these questions and issues that have been raised, so that when something is sent back to the town board at a later point in time, hopefully it's in the best possible shape. So I just wanted to, we didn't have a chance to talk this afternoon, but I had some conversation with Ken about this. He had some expectation that we were already doing that. We have been in communications with the applicant, the consultant team, but it's contemplated now that this would be, more thorough and roll up our sleeves type meetings to get some of this stuff addressed and resolved as quick as possible.
Okay, sounds good.
Ken, did I express that correctly?
From my point of view, I mean, that's why I wanted the town board to have an opportunity, to get through this tech memo. I don't think that we've wasted time. I mean, we've gone a long way here. We originally were talking about design standards that did not fit the new project, and it took a little while for us to all acknowledge that that was kind of a futile exercise. And um, now we have a conceptual design from Related about the commons, and I think we're all excited about it. And we're looking forward to the design standards and the more move from the conceptual to the actual, because I mean, as I read from this tech memo, we're all hoping that construction starts in 2022. So that requires, not conceptual, real plans. And I hope this is coming across as we're all excited to get a project going. And this is not a town of no, this is a town of yes. And we absolutely want to get this going. So we're excited. I think, go ahead. Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify what I previously said, that we haven't received the new design standards yet. So there has to be an opportunity for the town board and its consultants to review those, come up with a set of comments. But once that process is completed, whatever is left there in the way of comments, we would, look to handle the same way by, meeting with the applicant and the applicant's team and trying to bang out these and get answers to all these questions and get the document in the best possible shape for the for a future meeting of the town board.
I mean, I'm pausing so my colleagues, that seems to be the way forward. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, as Larry said, we have a lot of comments and the memos from Bonnie and Sean. I mean, there's a lot there to pull together and move forward with. I look forward to that.
I'm committed to reading all the documents that we've got in the last couple of days and sharing my questions with my colleagues and everyone involved, so that when the consultants get together, they understand they're not waiting to hear from the town board. We have the documents to review, just like we did tonight. We can pose our questions, and we expect our consultants to work with you guys to address them, and we're going to move forward in a timely fashion.
Speaking of timely fashion, what would be a good time to meet again? What do you think is a good time frame?
Well,
Michelle?
go ahead, Larry.
Michelle, it's Larry. I was going to say that if you let Brad and I establish a schedule for these internal consulting meetings where we can get that stuff, we can target a date at the conclusion of those. But we
Okay.
we haven't spoke or assigned dates to those yet. So if you just wait a little bit, we can target a date for you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Does that work for you, Larry?
Yes.
I mean, I actually meant to say Brad.
Oh,
I'm looking at Brad. Brad doesn't know that, but I'm looking at you, Brad.
That works perfectly. And we'll make sure the end of that schedule includes a shovel in the ground date for 2022. So Larry and I will work out that schedule.
That's great. And, of course, we're also tying this into the wastewater treatment plant. We need to get that going. And we are trying to move these two things together on a parallel track. And that's very important to us as well. So let's get to work.
We appreciate, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. Clearly, you all spent a lot of time reading the materials. We appreciate all the thorough feedback tonight and look forward to working with consultants to keep advancing. So thank you.
Mitch and Greg, do you have any closing comments?
Nope, not here. I think I think these meetings are going to be productive and look forward to finishing. So we
Yeah,
can start building.
of course, same thing. Look forward to those consultant meetings and work through the open issues so we can get back to the board and find the solutions and the compromises together.
That's what all good negotiations are about. We will find solutions and compromises and get it done. How's that for a parting word? I think it's time. I got to go eat something. My blood sugar is probably, I say my wife is on this call. She's probably going to be scolding me momentarily. I did eat a sandwich, honey. I'm okay. I just checked my blood sugar. I'm okay. Yep, but I got to go eat. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to the town board for working so hard this week to be prepared for this meeting, and to be continued very shortly. Okay. Let me make a motion with the town board to end this meeting. So make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Good
We're
night.
ending
Good night, thank you.
6:54.